It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern Exchange student from his harrowing plight than in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night. I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas. Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
Did they really have to reveal that guy? My name is Ryusuke Naruto. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of the law. Having made the long voyage across sea from the Empire of Japan here to London, England. On the way, it's a quite extraordinary circumstance. I made the acquaintance of the world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain inside its court, the Old Bailey. But since particularly grueling and unforgivable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my return to sight. But that epic trial was just a small part of an epic tale. A tale which is now about to awaken from a slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Well, that's one way of starting off the case. Hello everybody, I'm Gunnels3 here, and welcome to Chapter 2 of the Great Ass Detective Chronicles Resolve 2. Oh, last time we finished Chapter 1, today we're beginning Chapter 2. Oh boy, did they really have to show that guy? Everybody remember him from Chapter 4. Why did they have to show that guy? At the beginning of the case, that I have a feeling that's going to spoil some things. Thank you a lot. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must have been nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Soames' suite and say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Psst. August 30th, 7:28 a.m. Home suite. There he is. Bruno, good. I was just about to call you up the bacon's ready. Good morning, Iris. The smell it's a smell as delicious as usual. Before we eat, now the word, Mr. Naruto. That could be the absurd thing that pre-breakfast stagnation repels the mental stimulation my dear fellow. Morning to you too, Mr. Soames. Of course. Yes, I see. That is it. The truth is clear to me that my facility's observation revealed again. Yeah, what are you talking about? You and Mr. Naruto have a bit of surprise. Well, it's not the case. My dear fellow, it barely warrants an explanation. Firstly, your hairs are definitely unkept, somewhat reminiscent of the person that's touche. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button on your jacket. Lily, when considered together, the two facts point you must have a flustered mustering. And I talk now? Of course. Though I don't look for it much a year. My hair is always like this. I've been like this since I first met. Oh, it has. And the button, it ripped off last night, if you remember. By you. Oh, really pulled the button off. Yes, I recall the incident now. After supper, wasn't it? The evening advanced, and I picked up my violin and began to play with the note of hunt. But then the others made the third string snap. Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder when the dexterity I grabbed the first button and it ripped from the proper play. Well, I'd like to go back to peace now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten in my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts the floor on prison. Helpful. What's the matter at the present time, my Tarella, is that the simple are not deductions on where I'm hurrying. But Hurley, Bruno said that he came in, didn't he? When he came in. I had surprise this morning. Oh, really, that is a surprise. This is Mr. Jones. Yes, this man is the pride of the British England Empire, the famous consultant detective, Mr. Sholmes. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat before it gets cold. And I'll have an herbal tea for you too, so early. Really explained. And that's it, Miss Wealth. And here we have Iris Wilson, Sherlock Holmes, Mr. Holmes' lodger and companion. And totally an exceptional little girl who's the author of a highly successful serialist life staying here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published as Randit's magazine. So much to know, won't you put us out of your misery and what's... Oh, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? It was it, really? That's right, and it has some rather sore news in fact. Oh, intriguing indeed. You must tell us over. Oh, yes, what fun. This is Otto's letter. This letter arrived from Japan this morning by International Police Post. Oh, how lovely. It looks like Susie's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is your journal's statistic faring so far? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court on one occasion. Oh, really? Oh, isn't that wonderful? She won. Cut above your good self, my dear fellow. I won a case too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsumi appeared in the trial as a witness. Oh, Natsumi. Oh, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped the man twice, you know, in those two cases that took a fire for like 6 months ago. Ah, the mustache twitchy man with the somewhat feline eyes. He didn't have two mustaches, really. Ah, yes, who could have forget those two cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are very hazy now. Very deep impressions they made on you, clearly. Startling news. So, what's this startling news, Penn? Do you remember the case of the haunting lodge, Mr. Holmes? Oh yes, it's very interesting, you know. I don't recall feeling certainly that the case of nature did not occur. He totally forgot then. Anyway, he had never heard my letter. Mrs. Otto asked to read over her case notes again to advance the investigation further. Though I took up half a year ago for what fortress because something Mr. Natsumi said to her apparently. He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan suddenly must have something to do with that case of the haunted laundry. Oh, Mr. Natsumi returned to Japan. Mr. Sato's father questioned him about the case, he said. And something Mr. Natsumi said appeared to trouble Mr. Natsumi, prompting him to send that towel. Oh, that case, yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Yes. And I have compiled the story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication too. But then Hurley was funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, he said. He's published, he said. They're very mysterious as well. Really? I said that. Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Holmes? Well, why Mr. Sato suddenly told 4 months ago? Told 4 months ago that she had to return? Reputation. It's been 4 months since we moved her off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced she had gone back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to the telegram she received at Homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No. It's just that her suffering from a high fever. Cause which was unknown, not dead. According to this letter, the news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? Soji's dad lied to her so that she'd make a voyage back home. Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have no slight idea. But she believes it's most certainly related to the case of the haunting laundry. Summoning her back to Japan, something like that. I don't know what Mr. Sato's father is hiding. Early, do you know what this is all about? Of course. Well, who can say? What? You said... Please, I have an engagement, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite full today. And strangely analysis of the matter would be excessive. I feel as if we're quite at leisure. So, man, in my absence, won't be ours. Well, Hurley, don't worry. See you later. He did that on purpose. He scuttled off really quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Makotoa isn't the only person hiding something here. Sasaki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Holmes. I found it at last. Are they... Notes about that case. That's right. Susie and I compelled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Bruno? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could be hiding in the shadow of this case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit. And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again. Everything from what happened to our investigation to the fierce battle in the court that followed. Relieving every detail. I need to find a clue I have all the time in the world. Because, of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the court of Britain. Oh, because of what happened. It was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded in the wintry streets of London. A very young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement on Briar Road with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident. That case was one of the worst. The fog was thick, and nobody saw her attack her. But by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Ozaki-san, a man of affected his arrest. The man who arrested was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriots, Suzato-san and I decided to represent Suzaki-san in the court, and after a golden trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his generalization was short-lived. Of course. We received a telegram from Mr. Solms the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to the Barts at once. Zaza-san and I were summoned headed immediately. And headed immediately to the hospital. Wow, I can't believe it was all the way back there. Ah, there you are, Les. Good morning, Mr. Solms. I think not. Oh. You're late. Whatever it took. Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Solms, and 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right, it's only past 5 now. I think we made a good time. Time early and relevant to the fact that I've been waiting for you fellas in like a time. And the point I myself voted for was for an award by the telegram boy. And mainly it was somewhat unjust that I alone had a rose such an hour said you made. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim over there, she's only just regained conscious. Yes. Miss Green, you should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that lady was found with snow-covered pavement and one knife in her back. My name is, yes, here we are, Miss Green. There it is. Well, full figure for Cindy, it would be right. So here's how. Yes, this picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman special someone do you think? Mr. Naruto, I don't think you have a sense of matter of the heart. Not the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought. To run around the hospital. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, or he or she is falling around the hospital. Oh dear, whoever's worried, how worrying. What was worrying? Why haven't they discharged the patient yet? Eek! A mouse, Mr. Naruto. It's a noise. Vermin in the hospital, that doesn't seem the best. It looks to be very healthy section, doesn't it? Very cool. I'm not sure what to say, but the excellence of the factor of this facility, that's what I think for things. It must be a very last minute mishap. She would have been brought here directly after she was found stabbed. And, I expect our friend or family member brought it. Right now, let's see what change the clothes no doubt, and no, Sonardo, you must notice you're not the young ones. But the man might have a soft light about to get the fire. Of course. This looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed. What is this place? A zoo? You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign at the local park. For pigeons, yes. And this is a person. I hope he hasn't read this. Oof. There's a lot of bottles and cabinets. Do you think it's safe to keep them like that? If you're a patient here, I'm sure you take some medicine by taking them when you're half asleep. That's boring, but at least the cabinets have locks on them, even if the flimsy looking one. I have no doubt you managed to lock that somehow while you're half asleep. There are limits to what I can do and what I can't. What I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mr. Soto. There are all sorts of medicines in this cabinet. Look, I'm not sure of the state of leaving them in every voice like that. Yes, you're right. I can imagine. And if you were a Pikachu, you might try the whole bottle. Well, at least there seems to be a lock secure to get. I can imagine I would stop you if you were hungry. I worry that you will break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Miss Otto. One day again. Oh, good morning. Oh. Where are they? Oh, no, boss. You're not? No. I'm a lawyer. Yeah, since I don't want to talk about it. Please meet you. Oh, no, what is it? You're not talking? No, I'm sorry, you we heard about you being conscious and I wanted to give you a rest for me. Thank you. I'm an artist. Oh, no, that's not right. Is it? What I mean to be an artist. Well, really, that's what I want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. I wonder if I was stabbed in the back. No. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, the young woman seemed to bend over backwards to pull herself down. Seeing as where should ask her about what happened. The incident. Suddenly, you struck her back on the blade as you were walking the pavement. What terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was a cold day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago, I think. Is that right? Yes, it was right. That's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all that time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? I've been here in the hospital. Indeed, as my dear madam, spectacularly by none other. Answer Soames, as you don't know, it was Mr. Nardo's hard work in the court to solve the case. Are you yet to hear what happened this morning? Yes, I'm afraid so. The gentleman from the police force is supposed to be... Oh, I see. But he's coming around, see, made everybody frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should have never regained consciousness. It was selfish. Oh no. We're all relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. You really are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her name would be blue, not green. I would not go there. Yourself. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I wouldn't be possibly claiming that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts. Great Britain has such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live, hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it. I have a flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton, in some 10 spots away from the underground. Yeah. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Center. Does that matter, Mr. Jones? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison. Dwelt in the inferior means. The clean was a mismustache. Inferior, you mean? I suppose my son descended. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art to be walking down the steps of this. That's it. That's all. What's this? She suddenly called. There's someone, she should be a singer, so fine. Oh, for me. Don't forget me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so green. Is there a Mr. Naruto here, or Mr. No. Well, if you're looking for a Naruto, lawyer, that's me, but, Mr. Naruto, oh good. This is for you. The message first was, saucy, that's not to me, that's a message to me. Why would the police deliver a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly, what's going on? Uh-oh. What a Scotland Yard, constable doing, playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? What are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh. Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Soames? Is something wrong, Mr. Soames? He says. Have you no good enough? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. And the case calls a case of murder, no less. We must depart at once. Murder? Call a cab, time for it, essence. But this is terrible. The trouble is, we must not. I was thinking it ought to play a game of visit with London, but I did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? Uh-oh. It's all here in a note, my dear fellows. The murderer we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodging. Wait, what? And I'll have our viewers at once. Well, that's cursed indeed. If it was only yesterday Suzaku-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts of his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder in the man's own interest. There he may be very well the youngest man of mine. You don't say! Or it seemed to be at to us at the time, but we were soon to discover that it was worse than we thought. Very worse. So now Sydney's lodgings, ground floor. Oh boy. What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman is deceased without question. He's Logos. Why is this happening? Why is me? I only got out of the court yesterday. I finally got home after 2 days of military. And then I wake up the next day to this. Early birds should not catch the worm like this. An awful worm without a level. If you're in high spirits again, Mr. Mitzvah. That was horrible, Mr. Harlock Holmes. So, Dora, I never invited you. So, Holmes, he's here with us. I'm quite sure you'll be able to help us. I'm entirely at your disposal, Mrs. Holmes. How can I do for you? Mr. Gregson, here we are. Earlier already busybodies. Inspector Gregson, what a pleasure size. Listen, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face at the crime scene, Mr. Holmes. I deduce the factor that your heartburn is a result of your experience of consumption of fried food. Touche! Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Do not get touching anything. Or good morning to you too. Sometime. What terrible thing happened? It only was 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then I have finally gained freedom. It starts happening all over again. Endless existence, excurting expression. So the victim lived here on the grounds, and you're around. This sort right up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So how did the victim or our friend? Oh boy. What's the matter with Mrs. Augustine now? It was an innocent question, wasn't it? Why does he seem to say? Well, I suppose he wasn't a completely stranger. But he never did invite me to his room. Never. And I, on my honor, what a strange reaction. You're probably wishing you never asked now, Mr. We found him here when I went like a wretch, which is why I sent you a word to come. Through that inspector over there. Oh boy. And spell inspector, what was the victim's name? His name is William Shakespeare. Here. Yeah, well, that's a sham and not all the words. He was a lodger here. And as you can probably tell, he was an actor, a bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead. Mr. Shakespeare. It was the landlord, old Mr. Gardev, and the lodger, and the other lodgers, Mr. Nelsson, who found them. The fellow didn't raise his usual hour, so Mr. Gardev got worried and kicked down the door. So he doesn't Mr. Gardev have a bad leg? Yeah, you're right. You're right there. It was the jittery, Japanese hunt. Oh, over there who actually did the kicking, and really, so Suzaku-san. Victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even does some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, place to go, no friends. His only acquaintance was for people in this house. And miserable life, miserable way to end of it. So, what exactly Mr. Zone is doing here? He's not involved in the investigation. Shouldn't you have sent him away to the farm? Well, I'm afraid not saying that if the fellow looked odd or anything, he's acting like. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the goblin. You never said culprit there, did you? Oh dear, Mr. Natsumi appeared to be under suspicion again. It seems that way. He doesn't come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man, how unfortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fellow is gonna garner that long. His body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I doubt I could even bring myself to touch the dead body. Oh, hands off. Oh, no. I want to look at that. No chance. Someone's in a bad mood. There's only a bad air in here, isn't there? Alright, it sounds like I better off the inspector try to carry out. Really, dude? Mr. Solms, what are you doing? You need to only deserve to know that my dear home exists naturally. There's only natural thing, I suppose. Mr. Solms, what howdy, Miss? It's just my dear madam, patience. We've not been here in this room for 5 minutes. So far, I managed to deduce, but isn't it something, you know? Oh, I suppose the idea, I believe I could do, let's say what that. The present time, I managed to draw two incontrovertible notes. First, the vessel struggled here last night with the victim. His father sounds like, I forgot. My second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passed the victim's lips. What's that? Alright, Mr. Natsumi. Why are you acting so slow? Please, pretend I'm not here. Impossible to ignore. So you must tell us everything, Mr. Solomon. It's very dirty. Here we go. Well, of course. That's theoretically determined tragic word. Have we heard truly sound great deductions from his past? No doubt this Omega knows have been what miracles unfold our eyes to us on. So my dear fellows, for your delightful wonder, let's get. Oh boy. Curse of the dead. Cause of death. The careful observation of the victim reveals the transfer of this long destiny. This clearly indicates poison. Well, there's one. Next to the victim was a large dinner plate and certainly reserved. One half sizable bar of silver was meaningful and innocent. Why is the silver the lip? Yes. It could be possible that man was eating, of course. A fork reveals. Any young man's appetite is been undone. Taking out harms the cutlery and eating the mark. It could be also the Clearly, intoxication due to excessive ingestion of alcohol. Oh, precisely, I greater. I wouldn't push it down. Suicide or murder. The cause of death identified, we proceed Act 2. The cause of was it suicide or murder? The audience we call. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. This man dying and dying alone. A single teacup suggests that. There's all the glue. Be careful. Oh no. Oh my god. I see the answer is, of course, it's a broken lock. Oh boy. Oh, forcefully open. As I'm innocent, this door was locked. And our key was in the... you forget that the lock was broken when... in other words, of it. Oh boy. He thinks it's suicide. One possible confrontation present, but there's a few problems. Ugh. I did see a few problems here. Greg says like, what the fuck? Just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You made this supposed to identify just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man was eating soap? It's quite apparent this man was barely had a penny to his name. That's a curious thing, the solitude of soup could apparently be irresistible object. How extraordinary. In terms, I tried a little soup myself. You've eaten it, you mean? Dear fellow, it's some time ago now. My postulation, what has cleansed my gut? And it did. And then, with agony on the floor, I spent the contents of my stomach. Yes, I believe it did. And the experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is very poisonous. It's very unpleasant. Very discomforting for some reason. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it if I had to. you did. You did. There's something troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's it? This is not singing. I couldn't help but noticing your stuttering and quivering over the corner of my eye. Although, almost as if Mr. Solmes' deductions touched an action. Oh no, nonsense. Oh, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think judgment must have ruined some of his action. The detective deduction may need more gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Solmes' observation and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency of hitting the nail on the head. When he does that like that, it's up. Falls like that, still straightens out. Well, let's see what we can do. We must take the keyword Mr. Solmes and brilliantly deductive. And that's really extreme. If we do that, shall we wait? Remember Mr. Solmes made. Okay, so are you ready for second performance today? It's again, my dear fellow, for your continued delight, a wonderful curtain. Let us contain the rise. Curtain rise. This is almost logic and reasoning speculation once again. One act one. Well, you can't deny the fork implies that means something already out of. Yes, it's true. If we were to do something so, I prefer the fork attempt of a chopstick. And of course, only half of our is left on the plate. But that might not be the other explanation. Something material that proves that may not be related to the soup. But do you think that drink tea was sweet? But so the cup is empty. There's no way of knowing. How about this? I found an idea. Perhaps the cup was full of water. You have dissolved the soap in the gulp. Soap in the gulp. Please remember that no matter how that you may not be in the house. There we are. Look, there's more soap on the floor there. It's a shame she really must have loved that stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruto. Oh, look closely at the soap. Doesn't it clearly forgot perfectly well with the tower on the table? What the? How did that be? I think there are two halves of the same bar broken apart.
Take that!
Where's the other? I could, man, possibly eat. Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. Make the other half of the soap on the table and sort the victim was not eating the soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no doubt the hunger would have begun to attempt to eat the soap. Well, even I unquenchedly have knowledge of single bite. But that begs the question, how the man was poisoned because there's no signs of food on the table? An excellent observation, and one furnishing the question we see. A soup of foul poison. See, the victim's life was claimed by poisoning that tainted on Sean's paw is still pushing the soap argument in. But he was suggesting men lick the soap rather than eat it. If the soap is that poisonous, I don't think I want to wash my mouth with it. But there's no sign of food at all in the room. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips.
Take that!
The paint. Yes, the victim's last claim to poison to heat the teacup. Indeed, damp ghosts have a vessel for practicing poison in the centuries. It would appear the victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in the room. Which leaves a amount of conclusion. Clearly, intoxication due to ingestion poison contained in the teacup. Yep. The cause of death is identified in the state of Act 2. Wonder the next question. And was it suicide or was it murder? Yes, recall the cause of death was during the Last Supper. Did the man dine alone or the single teacup was the answer? The Western vessel is hot drinking and I already featured heavily in our deduction so far. Yes. We can imagine certainly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare has drank the tea, but there would be nothing more remarkable about that. What troubles me is Mr. Natsumi's reaction, but when he heard Mr. Justice. There's more deductions, it seems. Maybe cause the scene. There we go. It's a teacup. And it's empty too, given that he's actually holding it in his hand. We can assume that teacup which Shakespeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, that changes everything. Everything that we did up to now turning on its head. I have a bad feeling this, but I also don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel.
Take that!
Did the man die alone, or the other two was just the answer? Yes, there's clearly two cups in the room. In other words, a strong indication that was Last Supper. There it was, that's the guest person. At the very least, we can now say for certain that someone else was here in the night. What are you talking about? Really, unbelievable, unjustly, unreasonable. Would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, messages about the gat model gets a tip. Oh, how many lives available now, Phil? Never think. We already know about that part. I'm not sure where this section's going. I'm afraid it's too late to go back to the days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was there last night when the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. Well, we can't try to ignore the feeling, but we can ignore the truth. I suppose not. Time to look around them again. It's an empty bottle. Empty and liquid and full of hot air. It makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think that there's full of hot air. Some of it be something else in the room at the time. There's quite a clever. I'll be right back. Diamond Rocker can eat almost. You know, the sword can work. Even Mr. Seinfeld don't eat candles. See, we established that he didn't eat soap either. I don't think. Do you think perhaps that the guest brought the candle there last night? Even if she did, it didn't reveal anything about that. Good point, but there goes an idea. There goes my idea snuffed out like that. I guess decided Mr. Naruto, you're in danger of blowing out the flame.
Take that!
Oops, nice, and I did. At first glance, it seems there are only a few things in this room that is makeshift. I have looked these books. But let's see here. The title reads the pictures of the Mansion Lake. Oh! Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be incredibly coincidence, but they're exactly the 3 books mentioned, not so many versus the other. What? Yes, the other. The day, unfortunately.
Take that!
Familiar books. Indeed. The first is so. I'm not mere coincidence. There's that Susie, you've heard those books before. There's no other stuff. Coincidence. In that case, will you be able to bring the same 3 titles of your own? No. I'm very at the moment. If you can't bring those copies, that proves that these 3 are exact. Let me purchase these books for you. You return your lodging before you arrested on the same night. Well, you could have completely brought those books here in the evening, but you never mentioned it. I only brought these books to read books here to the victim. In the last night, I was returning your lodging. The victim's not here in this room as a result of question. And the same night, the victim and the visitor. And the visitor was you. Was you, Mr. Natsumi? The conclusion's final act. So someone happened scene. Oh. But he wasn't the murderer. Why was he at the scene though? Oh, not again, not again, not again. Not again. Well then, Mr. Natsumi, it would appear that you're gonna have to be coming me down in the yard again. But, wait. Our horse said, yes? I thought you want. He's a foster, he's being very... What? You think that's an ally? You think you live in the same building? After all, you follow him. What? This hurt me. Alright, sir, you'll have to get a chance inside and sorry later. The fact speaks for himself, Mr. Mustache. You Colonel Harlow, he's really found himself an arch rival. I say, you come with me now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a yard waiting. I never imagined this position. I get up. Alright, I understand. Well, tell me yourself later to talk about it. One more thing. Oh, yes? Alright, we're a little kitty cat. Please give him a... Oh. And so, it's a humor curse. Still, apparently he's a broken. His officer finds himself once again in the prime suspect in the case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of great detective. My dear fellow, no one knows what to do. Ugh. case, the main suspected Grayson is no longer here. They can examine the scene for more details. Yes, that's right. Alright, yeah, that's right, and of course. What? Have you forgotten about what this factory meant before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garrett, who discovered Saint Street. Ah, Mr. John Garrett, yes. I expect we could find him sitting up in the top as usual, right? We must remember to go talk to him later then. Oh, the poor man, so young to die. I suppose a very painful death being poisoned he was. I don't know. All we can do is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Do you think that putting your hands together in the Japanese prayer would help the British soul? Sorry. I should have made a reference about at least very just such as an occasion as, actually. The book is titled The Beginner's Guide to Reading the Departed the British Way. I just read it and went on. There's quite a spine look on that book, isn't there? This is something sort of makes that stage, isn't it? There's an audience for our nightly stage performance. Actor aspiring great stage that prize their arts must endure to win without an audience. In fact, that remains a reliable note. You should set up a mock bench. Alright. Then you could practice your art every day. I'll think about it if you promise to don the beard and play the role of the judge. Well, if that would have achieved your goal, this I have to say. I'm sorry, I had a laugh. Oh, that was hilarious. And here we have another disappointingly large machine that looks a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. I think the district residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. Ah, yes, I see. Now you pointed that out. I can see that there's a slot that looks like they can take coins. So you mean you can put a coin in here? That's right. It would buy you 2 hours of gas for the night for heating. So if you're a poor person with no money, you will have to sleep freezing cold. Yes, if you're a scatterbrain with no change, you forgot to exchange money at the bank. Thank goodness there is no meter in our office. Touché. This is a gas well light. Isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Gas lights, gas stove. London's really a city of gas. But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gardev had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh yes, they're right. You're right. I didn't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I must prefer a fire anyway. It's much cozier. Oh, here goes the brick wall. We've seen that from the outside. The window's completely bricked up. A vestige former window tax that Britain had to pay. A strange thing they use the tax from Britain. I mean, making people pay for a number of windows they have property and is extraordinary. I hear it's heartbreaking to think that the poor man is having to block up in the window only to avoid the unfortunate tax. Oh, what is it, Mrs. Otto? If you look closely, a number of bricks are loose. Oh yes, I thought it's though an amateur broke a few of them. What was it, Mr. Shepherd? I wonder. Oh, look at this, Mr. Otto. Outside a little lodge. There's something on it. What? Outside. It's so cold outside. I can feel that too. It did snow last night, so it really cold. More importantly, what is the two lodges out there? What are those snow-covered ones? It's more bars of soap. So, what are bars of soap doing on the lineup and all? I have no idea. Particular, both pair of them rather charming, like it's. So, isn't it? The bars of soap line up at the window. I think perhaps we should take one or two. There are two. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? There's something there. Look here in the soap. Ah. Do you see a mirror here in the middle? There's a patch of different color. It's a transparent, but some fancy design. Actually, also only right. Looks like we haven't already flashed the fan, doesn't it? Perhaps it's a special brand. Expensive? Then how is it doing in the ramshackle of the old home? It's a This part in particular design is quite exact. Trust me, the British trust the British to turn the bars up into something special. It's quite like reminds me of the something rather expensive. So, does that seem likely given it belongs to? You have any stuff from the case? There's not much on these shelves in there, is there? Just wine glass and bottles. And both of them are cracked. Yes, not much use there, are they? What is the matter? Oh, I was reminded of the Reaper, that's all. Prosecutor Long for own sakes. He's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste that you should donate some to the needy. You can suggest that the next time we meet. Upstairs is traveling bright costumes. And somehow they look out of place in the room. It's grim, shady, going on. This is the one looks like a king's attire. A king, I would have dreamt being a king. Oh, I think you would be more suited for a feudal lord. A feudal lord. A dynamo or such like. Where the carnage is top knot. Every Japanese man wishes that he had a carnage. How do you look? Wonderful one of these. And you already have a sword. Can you imagine what happened if you walked around the streets and one was a carnage and the sword? Ugh. Anything else I need to check before I head off? Oh, arrow. What's this? It looks like a part of an envelope, I think. You think? I think you're right. Perhaps it's torn when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter or the rest of the envelope. Vector, she's right, Pete. Yet there's a torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. Yes, I agree. We better take this just in case. to our old friend, Mr. Gardeb. Gardebs. Here we are again, the eccentric landlord, eccentric soft floor. We're here because my Gardebs is one to discover into the morning, don't forget. Oh boy. Your chaps. Okay. Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. Such Mr. Gardeb was as much work. Came just straight back here after all the business in the Bailey yesterday. Didn't expect you to wake up to more Bailey nonsense this morning. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us what happened in the Yes, I suppose you wouldn't like to know about that dead lost actor chap in the door. Where those exactly words weren't they? Morning incident. And mate, it must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what happened. Well, that hopeless actor chap rises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But 5:30 this morning, he still hadn't lit up the gas. I went down to knock on the door, but no Bally answer. And that's when he broke into his room, kicking the door down. Well, called it the rum-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't a little premature kick down the door. The man could have overslept by an hour. That's very true, Mr. Nardo. If 30 minutes overslept was warranted such behavior, I would have kicked down the door every morning. Better safe than sorry after all. Is it just me, or does he avoid the gaze of all of a sudden? Except for the fact of the situation, indeed found your side of the door. Our victim. The victim's name is Mr. Shakespeare, I believe. Isn't that right? Yes, William Shakespeare took the ground floor room 3 months ago. No. And how would you describe him? And the word destitute. Oh, that's one way of putting it. Destitute. I mean, you remember the guy from case 4? Yeah, that was a... Let's face facts. Its only redeeming feature of that is the only redeeming feature is a cheap rent. Anyone willing to live in that place is either broke or has a volley screws loose. It's so hard to choose which characters I fall into. Ooh. I say both. I said, that's a little rude. True. How he was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course, Shakespeare. I mean, figured because he's basically named after it. Read a few of the plays of my old part, Romeo, Hamlet, and all. Yes, William Shakespeare, England's most highly regarded classic playwright and author. He's known as So in Japan. Many of his work have already been translated. It seems incredible that Shakespeare has sorted to Sao, though. Someone too heavy-handed there. There's a lot of costumes of the victims actually work there. Of course, Mr. is a scholar of the English literature as well. Imagine he and Shakespeare would have much in common. Shakespeare and interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder or something that's not. I said, no, really? How rude. So it's what? After not so sorry, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? You didn't notice any strange between then and this morning? Oh, now must have been 6 in the evening the time I got home. Now, snow was coming down heavily, as I remember. It was completely dark already. The failed actor chap was out then. Mr. Gardo noticed that there was no light in his room, something, I suppose. Couldn't summon the energy as much for it, so I sat in front of the fire up here. It was 8 before Shane's bear got back. And the chap was up to past 1 in the morning. I have, you know. I suppose he met us in time after that. I was asleep by then, so I'd rather in the dark there. Oh, thank you. That was very illuminating. Is that right, Mr. Sato? Well, it's just one thing that's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Gardo, you were up here in the morning and evening, if I remember correctly. Not a bit of a fan of stairs. There's not with a busting leg. Then, how is that you seem to know? Besides movement of your tenants on the ground floor, that oh, that's a very good point. I can't imagine you could hear noises on the ground floor all the way up here. Does this homeman like to spy on his tenants, is that? I say, I know what you're thinking. It's probably outrage. I honestly don't know. I don't go spying around on my tenants, why would I? And how do you know Mr. Gardo? You know, it's a gas, woman. The gas tell me everything. The gas. Speaking of gas, what do you everything mean? How could the gas tell you everything alone? As you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I more or less worked that out. Even the room in the building is connected by a single pipe again. And a gas company supplies the proper... Oh, is his room the one that has a gas pipe? Where all the gas comes to? I suppose it's too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's see if I can find it. What is supposed to happen? Well, obviously the room would get brighter. Exactly, but at the same time, a light in the other room's house would be dim at the moment. What? They were dim, why? Perhaps it's because when you light the gas lamps, briefly more gas than usual. Then it reduces the amount of gas on the pipes for the lamps to be connected. Why the lamps are dim and really my... Yes, of course. Because everything's connected to a single pipe. If that's supposed to happen though, it sounds rather random. Totally good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes and these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite also true. Exhausting the lamp up here had to glow very bright and right, I see. By watching the flickering lamps on the one room, you can determine what else happened elsewhere. You've got it. Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening, they go to sleep at night. What they're guaranteed to do is either light or put up the lamp on the fire. Clever. In point of fact, the room on the ground floor is one above, are slightly different from the amount of gas. By watching the lights here closely, I can work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Gosh, that's fascinating, Miss Gardo, but very fascinating. Oh well, there's nothing really. I can really see that it's going to help us with the case either. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Gardo is so interested in what the tenants are up to in the first. I feel like there's more to the ideal. Trying to get some more information on this guy. Touche. No sentiments are not heard of. I tend to snuff out the song. I'm starting to see where Mr. Holmes' their reputations come from. That's an impressive collection of cakes of fancy standard. And I feel sure full of cakes for most investigation in here. Yes, quite right. Haven't touched the site since. I haven't done much at all since that all happened. Times rather stood still for me, you know. Oh, time has stood still. Now that's an interesting fate. Excuse me, when I'm an ex supposed to tidying up the office. You could just tidy up. No. Oh, the shelves look like they've been completely torn by one. Reminds me of the Ballad of the Main Wind, don't you know? The experience at Stephen Factory. The enemy had surrounded all sides. Again, you really thought we are done for the whole belly of the company. We were taking a real pounding in the on their cannons, and we all lived. Oh, I could doubt that story is going to be different today. We are all experiencing something. One thing I can tell you: when you're done, you're really done for. That's not the way a lawyer often finds himself a fire when you're. Oh, we know what the scene is hiding behind that. I mean, the aftermath of the fiery alteration the other day. Don't suppose they'll be able to clear that mess up for a time, you know. Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you. I'll say people talk about twists of fate and whatnot. But what a twist and a half of a rotten show all around. He clearly struggling with everything that has happened. Get that trophy out of the way. Oh yes, this is where you... So, what today? Tobacco Bruno, what is this? Oh, I'm just playing along with the ideas of the next one. Another idea I was barely coordinate. Hearing about Bruno, obviously. I suppose you're right. I'll tell you what. I'll surprise you with it. Somebody sleepless night. Iris. It's incredibly conservation. It's quite remarkable. She can focus on so many different things at once. Perhaps I should try drinking more of her herbal tea. The blend is right there. It's large from good for you. Oh, God. This girl is destined for great things, I'm sure. Anyways, the striking plenty in there. He said. It's my favorite one. In fact, it's time for our afternoon tea. Wait, here, I'll fetch this wine I'm preparing for today. Oh, Iris. You do love your tea, don't you? She looks happy. After you drink it, I'll collect some extent. So that's what she all about me drinking. Alright, let's move. Let's talk to our fellow chap. He's not here. She's not here either. Let's head to Shakespeare's room. Sir, something else we're not... Hopefully get back to me. Oh, that's a real cannon. I know that. I was just testing you. Please, so history that is. Seen plenty of action in the battlefield, I can tell you. Now that the old girl and I try to face a quiet every siren together. And of course, she come in handy if the enemy decides to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on I don't know about? See if there's anything else I need. There's something in here I'm missing. Not gonna lie, guys, I am stumped. Very stumped. I love that little description. that's not a bad idea. Problem is what else to investigate? Wait, because I've already investigated everything. Man, I'm stumped. I don't want to end this stream right now, but I am stumped. Basically, I pretty much examined everything. What else could we examine? Well, that happened. Oh. Hold. What just happened? What? Wait, Walking Dead? Well, that happened. The Philip isn't dead after all. What is this nonsense they're saying now? I think yes, it's from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. A Celebrity Act 5, Page 5. Shakespeare. Well, so it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life, and the man, if the man had been transferred that he had killed him, he was taken to emergency carriage nearby hospital treatment, and Inspector Grayson evicted us from the scene. And whatever that was now was. Now that was. What? Well, that happened. R/that happened. Let's investigate those key codes because we never got a chance to. There must be custom. What do you think will happen? Good question. What strange situation was there saying he's arrested for murder, but the victim came back to life? I think perhaps the victim never was dead in the first place. I mean, that Shakespeare did get some poison we deduced, but it was an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder. Until the truth comes established, I imagine the police will keep my 70 in custody. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything than a night in cells. Oh, what's this? Mr. Solms. What's the man doing over there? He's looking to find us intimate. It's something. It's never. Oh, excuse me. Can we have a word? Mr. Solms. He just ran off. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen the man before. Was it? Where was it? Good idea. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I was not aware that they could investigate the teacup. Oh boy. Oh boy, I can't wait to see the truth. Tell him here the truth. Mr. Naruto. Mr. Natsumi, we have your police finish questioning you now. Yes. Where is he? You tell me, is he a ghost? Is he? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Solms. He's actually calling himself the great detective, not somebody, not a ghost. but it's not among deductions. They are not of this world. They left me. The curse. God's curse doing it. Oh, that sort of hurts. We're credits to Mr. Narno. You were heavily involved in the deduction too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh? The victim that we thought was dead came back to life again. No, in the absolute worst case, you could have been only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it? It's terrible. Oh. It's stuck. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's back. You didn't you confess you're the killer? Why the mustache? I got constant questions. I'm here. That selfish sizer. Here, make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you're going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wicked, officially Russian William. Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shakespeare has never actually died in the first place. Yes, that might make sense. The police say he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was so much fun. And it's sad to think it was our last. Oh! Oops. Yep, Mr. Natsumi, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You were one Mr. I think I am. Mr. Natsumi, we did hear your story. Why my cards like this? What happened? Tell us what exactly happened last night, Mr. Natsumi. Nothing to tell, but Mr. Nardo. I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me. The curse. There's the case yesterday. The case of Horse was being hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. Yeah, it's hard to believe it was only yesterday. After the trial was over, I trudged my way back to the lowering lodge. And that evening, past 9, it must have been I visited Shakespeare. So you did go to Shakespeare. I didn't do anything wrong. I heard the minutes from before. It was first time. And what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We were chattering and back into it developed into a discussion. But he had to go, and so I bade him farewell. That ties in what Mr. Garrido said. The victim went out and came back at 8 after 8. We met again later that evening around 9, or just when I took him some nice tea I brewed as a gift. So it was you who brought the tea that clearly had been drunk at the scene. And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you? That's right. That's exactly right. Romeo, Juliet was stronger. It was a delightful debate, I'm sure. Such a similar subject, Shakespeare. Oh boy. And the debate happened to him very heated, so he was... No, not at all. The team of Juliet won. That was me. And when I left the room, the Podmore fellow was a fighting fit. I swear, Cal. What do you think about that? Ah, there it is. The lottery lowlife took my neighbor's life. and sent me sliding to the depths of despair. You've really gone off the slope, haven't you? Absolutely. I've made my mind up. The next time someone gives me soap, it's finished. I didn't know you could blame soap for everything. That happened. That's funny. You often say that the same thing about yourself, that you have a cursive existence. I'm sure I've mentioned it to you, but I've been in Great Wind for years now, and now at that time, I've learned there's no place for me. I can barely. It can be very tiring trying to live in a foreign land, to adapt to other cultures. There are other foreigners are always. No, that's a problem. I know that's not the... Oh no. I'm sorry to say I do, yes. It's pointing to figure you. This is bad. We'll continue in the next part next time. Alright guys, that that investigation took a lot longer, excuse me, than I thought. With that said, I'm Gunnels 3. We'll start the trial next time. Catch you guys later.